Hi everybody. Hope everyone's having a great Saturday evening. Just wanted to hop on. I have been promising to show a number of you how we created this wonderful door sign or hallway for your hallways within 20 minutes or less. So I thought we'd get to it. Just let me flip over to the other screen. Sorry, having a bit of technical difficulties. My internet has decided to be a little bit difficult today, so sorry, just bear with me here for a minute. Again, what I've done with this project is really sorry, this is not working today. Okay, let me just keep losing my second screen, so apologies, just bear with me here for a second. Okay, so what we've done is started off with a 18-inch circle. This allows us to have a great surface to work on, and it's big enough to see from the road. So what I've done is I pre-varnished it and stained it with I particularly like espresso, and then what I've done is from the stain I've let it sit at least 24 hours to allow it to really cure. I found anything less than that, your paint will come up and not really stick for you. And then I've decided to paint half of it with a chalk paint. My daughter purchased kind of a new line of paint that I quite like. It's called Fusion, and a great little product. It seems to work really well with our chalk paste, but it does a nice base layer. So to get things started, I'm going to tape off one section just using regular good old masking tape. Just making sure that we can go along the lines, going across, and just want to make sure that we cover it nicely. So for this particular project, I'm going to use a couple of different transfers. I particularly very much like this plaid that we have. I used to have to hand paint the plaid, so this is a great time saver for anybody who's done that before. It works out nice, but it does take a fair bit of time. Ugh. I'm just sticking here. So again, I'm just going to, with the bigger transfers, I found it's easier just to lay them flat. And what we do is call this is in Chalk Couture, we just really use this as our fuzzing application. What it does, this is a transfer, a silk screen transfer, so it's a little bit different than those ones that you typically can get at Michael's and even make yourself using your Cricut or Silhouette. But it's important, unless you are putting this directly on a canvas, to really make sure that you fuzz well, because if you don't, the transfer has a great opportunity to really stick and not come up the way you'd like it to. So I'm going to position this transfer just underneath the tape line, just making sure that we're as close to it as we can get and we're as even as we can get. And then I'm just smoothing it out, making sure that you don't have any air bubbles in it. I love this big squeegee for this purpose. Just making sure that we're squaring it all out and getting all of the air bubbles out. So this looks good to me. Then opening up my dark, I'm going to use black this time. On the picture that you saw when we started, I used a white and a gray mix, which I thought was great. But I do have a customer that wants a little bit of a different sheen to it, so get rid of that. So it's really important that when you open up the chalk, just to give it a good stir, typically try to use a plastic stir. What we've discovered is the wood, if you use like wood popsicle sticks or something of that nature, it dries out the chalk. So again, to preserve the life of it, you really want to make sure, try not to do that. If you do find your chalk is getting a little bit drier than you'd like, just mist a fine mist of mineral paint or mineral water, and it will liven it back up for you. Just going to get rid of all of the dried chalk here, and really just going to put a fair amount on, just because the surface that I'm using is fairly large. And what you're going to do is just drag the chalk over the open spots. I'm going to go all the way down and just keep till your surface is completely full and covered. You don't want to put a lot and leave it thick. The real trick to this is to make sure that you get as much covered and then go over it fairly quickly to remove the excess. Just going around. Hope everyone's having a great Saturday. I'm off to do some business travel this week, so trying to get a lot of things done in my house to get ready for the trip. Now I'm just going to take off the excess, because again, I put it on fairly liberal, but you want to make sure that you're taking as much off and you're covering your screened areas completely. And anybody who's watching, please feel free, if there's questions that you have, don't hesitate to ask them, because it's a great opportunity to kind of learn a little bit either more about the technique or the project. And to me, that looks good. So what I'm going to do, again, remembering these are silk transfers, so you really want to take them off from both ends. And voila, there is the first part of the project. I'm just going to set this down over here so we can wash it quickly. So I like how that looks. It just, again, gives a very different look than the first one with the smaller area done. Now what I'm going to do is, again, the customer who's wanting this particular item wants just a very simple welcome on the top. So we're going to position this roughly where we want it. About there. Just move it over slightly. My paste, close it up, because it does, again, you want to prolong the life as long as possible. Make sure that you tighten that up really good. You get another stir stick, and for the top I think I'm going to just use our bright white, because I think it'll be a nice offset to the dark in the bottom. Give it a good little stir. This one's getting a little bit more muckier, as you can see, so I'm going to, it's a little bit thicker than I would like. So what I'm going to do is spritz a little bit of mineral water into it, and just give it a, that's much better. Again, it should have the consistency of peanut butter. It is the best way to describe it. Just making sure that you have it nice, it flows through the screen really nicely. Looks good. Again, very similar application. You're going to start, and with our paste you can really start anywhere on the screen. I found with the inks, if you were to use our inks, it's really important that you start on the green and drive it through the screen versus being able to start on the screen that the paste is able to do. Making sure I'm covering all of the screen. It's that whole section there. Okay, I think we're good now to start taking off the excess, putting it back in the jar, because again, a little of this stuff goes a really long way. Again, making sure I get as much of the excess off, because really, if it's on the outside, you're really going to just wash it away when you clean your brushes and your stencils. Again, pulling off the transfer as carefully as you can, but consistently, so you're not stretching it. And voila, that particular is done. And literally we've 15 minutes to get us to this point. So it's a great quick way to get some amazing results. So one of the things that I would do to finish this project, much like I did the sample, I'm going to let this dry. Some people air dry it, which is my preference, but you can use a blow dryer just to make sure that the paste is really nicely sealed. I like to give it a little bit of time, but that again is my own personal preference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some burlap ribbon, and I found some really cool upholstery nails. So I'm going to use them as a decorative touch across, and then I'm going to add a little bow and some flowers, and this is complete. Again, I can't stress it. I mean, this, I've been painting a long time. I think I started painting 15 years ago or 16 years ago. Even just to do this lettering would have typically taken me 20 minutes, 30 minutes alone, just to make sure that you have the right consistency, you've got the right depth. What I find really great with these transfers is I can lay this over top if I wanted, and then put another sheen, so you almost have a backdrop on it. And really just the versatility. Again, with Chalk Couture, we've got some great products and surfaces you can use, but I'm just trying to demonstrate the flexibility and the adaptability of this particular product that I find really intriguing, and just really, it's up to your imagination and what you want to do with it. So I won't take any more of your Saturday night, but again, feel free to reach out if there's questions. I will be doing a bit of a draw a little bit later if anybody wants to comment. So with that, have a great Saturday afternoon, and we will talk soon. Take care.